It's time for Common Man. Common Man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in. It's time for Common Man.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello.
Time is running out on Dan Cole's round. Let's go to 15. Bob?
Yeah, John Cole has been visibly angry. He's been talking to himself quite a bit. And it doesn't get any easier here on the par 3 15th hole at Minnesota National. This hole is guarded by two bunkers with a big tree in front of the green. Very challenging tee shot. He's opted to hit a 5-iron here. Cole, unreal pants, fluttering in the wind, mumbling to himself, I've got to have this shot. Hootie-hoo! Ooh, that's very well struck. Spinning through the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass. It's right on line. Looking good. Oh, my! It's in! I can't believe what I just saw. A hole-in-one for Cole at the 15th, and he's pointing at patrons in the gallery shouting, you doubted me, you doubted me, you doubted me, and now he's embracing his son, Peter. What a moment between father and son here at the 15th at Minnesota National.
Now what do you think? What do you think of that? That's far better. I'm tired of Brett Favre. You always love that one.
Who that? Who there?
What a snag!
They're breaking up, Bob.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, I always love that one.
We're the state of hockey, and I think that proves it, so.
I mean, I try to fight fire with fire, you know.
Let's go! I've seen enough out of Cousins, Paul. Put him on ice.
You like that? You like that?
Well done, young man!
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the North. This is the Common Man, Dan Cole.
Back. I have my phone today. It's in my pocket. Show should get off to a much smoother start today. Yesterday, I was in flux. I was flummoxed. I was dazed and confused. I wish we were playing licensed music again. I'd like to hear Dazed and Confused right now. Do you know, Tenneby, which band did the song Dazed and Confused?
I'm going to go Led Zeppelin.
How did you know that?
I didn't really know it. I just kind of knew it.
Yeah, very good. Well done.
I don't even know if I know the song. I don't know if I'm familiar with it.
It goes, and then the sound down the road. No, that's actually Stairway to Heaven. You could sing that song. I couldn't, because I can't hit that high note.
Stairway to Heaven or Days?
Yeah, no, Stairway to Heaven. When the very end, when the incredible part at the very end, when the rabbit bites its own head off, and it says, and then the sound down the road. Hey, maybe I could do it.
You know how you will go down rabbit holes on YouTube and watch. If you haven't already, maybe you already have. You need to watch Stairway to Heaven by Heart, a live performance. It's the greatest live performance I've ever seen.
I've seen it. I wouldn't call it the greatest I've ever seen, and I'm surprised you would say that, because you've seen Mouth Guitar Guy at the Minnesota State Fair year after year after year, and how you could call Hearts. I mean, again, it's good. It ain't no Mouth Guitar Guy. It ain't no Mouth Guitar Guy. You know that.
I've also seen Meat Sauce and the Whalers at Rube Party. So,
well, I sorted it as I was pumping my fist, backing out of the poorhouse and leaving. Two things. First of all, fanfare for the Common Man. When I'm down in the ante room and I hear the haunting strains of Woody Herman's orchestra, Fanfare of the Common Man, I also hear a collective sigh from all the people down in the antrum because they're so glad that I'm leaving.
They're so happy noon has arrived.
Yeah, because then they know for the next 3 hours, except maybe in a break, he might come down for 2 minutes because I'll do that once in a while just to try to get people going. But it's the sales guy, the sales kids I've been telling you about, the ones that are big Viking fans. I'm back. They don't call, we used to call it talking smack. Do they still call it that? Talking trash.
They call it chirping.
Chirping. Yeah, chirping. I was back there chirping about the kiddies. I just love, because they're all diehard Viking fans, and I just love it. So I started doing the old. I start just saying things I really don't even believe. But I did the old. Well, I bet you we got a bunch of Bills fans back here this week. I even looked at one of the guys said, "Let me guess, you'll have a card table in the middle of your living room, and just before the opening kickoff, you'll jump off your sofa and land on it like Bills Mafia." Because it tended to be. I would imagine right now. The three favorite teams of Minnesota Viking fans are the Minnesota Vikings, the Buffalo Bills, and whoever's playing the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Those are your three favorite teams. Not yours. Your favorite teams are Kansas City,
I'm cheering for the Lions in
Detroit,
that game,
and Minnesota. And what's your collective record?
Still just 4 losses.
And how many wins? We've got 12, 11, and 10. So what are they?
Something like
Are
that.
you 33 and... You're 33 and 4. Boy, it must be nice. That's just a coincidence, I'm sure. Then add your wild team to that.
Everything's good in Tenebisi land these days.
Everything's good in your world. You played the
Kansas City's 12-1, Detroit's 12-1, so that's 24-2, and then the purple are 11-2, so 35-4.
35-4. Boy, that's nice. How much fun is it for you as a football fan?
Well, and one of those losses doesn't even count because they played each other, so somebody had to lose.
Right.
So it's really not even that.
It's the old somebody's always got to go. Somebody had to lose that game. The other thing, by the way, we're the only radio show in the world that no two openings are exactly alike. And really, it's the truth, the whole truth, or at least some semblance of the truth, because unless Tenna has tricked me and played he's because Tenna B is responsible when he's playing the music. He's the one that's responsible for. I'll once in a while throw
You chime in occasionally.
Yeah, I chime, but you generally are the one that you put all the sound bites in. And unless you've actually tricked me and said, you know what I'm going to do, because he always claims it's always different, I'm going to take one that I did last Tuesday, and I'm just going to replay that. And so it is the exact same one. But I don't think you've ever done that, and let's just go with it that you haven't. But I was listening again, and I'm going to let people in on a little secret. When I made that hole-in-one at Minnesota National, you really weren't there calling the play-by-play. That you made that up. Maybe I shouldn't have told people that, because maybe that's sort of like, telling people about Santa Claus, But the one part of it that's absolutely true is you said I was visibly upset going to the 15th tee box. And I was upset because 14 is one of my favorite holes in all of golf. 14 at Minnesota National. It's like, depending upon what tee box you play, we were playing it at 320. And it's you hit it out into the fairway, then it dog legs pretty dramatically right and drops down into almost not a valley. It's not like, it's not like you're in the Rocky Mountains, but it drops down a good 40, 30, 20, 30 feet. I don't know. I'm really bad at judging how many feet, but it's a drop off to a well-protected green. On the left side, if you hug the right too much, there's prairie grass, and then the trees come into play. And if you hit it too far left to try to keep away from the right, playing it safe, there are fairway bunkers over there. It's a brilliantly designed hole by the late Joel Goldstrand. Brilliantly designed hole. And I love short par fours. And so I'm licking my chops as I get to that hole because I've just come off a birdie on the par 5 or a par on the par 5 prior to that. Now I'm thinking, I'm going to go ahead and make a birdie here. And I ended up making a bogey on that hole. And I was visibly upset. Visibly, you could tell. And then I made the ace. So even though you weren't, and the other thing that was true, my pants were fluttering in the breeze. So there were,
and your ball did spin in the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass.
Yes, it did. And you know what? And just so you know, I don't think anybody else. I counted how many revolutions it took as it got there. How many revolutions do you think a golf ball does take in a 155-yard shot?
Oh, hundreds.
Hundreds?
Hundreds of revolutions.
There are people that still believe that what Q-Dub said the other day about Jet, that he counts the revolutions of the football. The people that believe that, oh yeah, it's true. It's amazing to me, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. You don't read like the comment sections on the Athletic or the Fish Wrap Factory Westerns. Because it's the hardcores there.
Yeah.
If you were reading some of the things lately, the last week or two, or even today, with the they were doing the Darnold thing, Alec Lewis. I don't think we've talked enough about Sam Darnold on this radio station. Do you? I just don't think there's enough discussion on Sam going on right now. But the idea, what do we do with Sam, right? And I received several emails and text messages from people saying, "What about franchise tagging him?" And I never responded to it because I don't know the rules of franchise tagging, so I couldn't weigh in on it. But Alec Lewis wrote today. Did you read it?
I did not.
He wrote a big piece on the different options the Vikings could have. And then when you read the comments, you would think people think that KOC is a combination of Lombardi, Shula, Chuck Noll, Andy Reid, Weeb Eubanks, Kevin Eubanks, and every other great coach. And that literally Beeflo is the greatest defensive coordinator. There are people that still back up the truck and pay him as much as he wanted. We're so good. And I love the enthusiasm over it. But I always like to caution people to pump the brakes on all of these clubs. Like even, again, I think it's well established. I have two favorite teams. You have three. I just have two. The Kitties and the Vikings. And Kitties, because I was born in Detroit and I've suffered so badly. They're still, it's a coin flip, but I'm rooting for the Kitties. I'm sorry. And if they were ever to win the whole thing, I would abandon them at that point. I think I've explained that before. I abandoned the Tigers, the Red Wings, and the Pistons because they won the whole thing. It doesn't matter to me anymore. Once you've won it once, who cares? Once you get that first one out of the way, nothing else matters. But I'm not like this. As much as I kid the guys in the sales office about basically there is not a weakness on the Kitties. They are getting 4 players back, it looks like, this week, and 3 on the defensive side of the ball. Again, how long do they last? I mean, it's the walking wounded all across the National Football League, right? Guys that are playing, it's like Hovan. Guys are laying on the line. Guys are in the training room. Sometimes it doesn't work. There are guys that are playing that probably shouldn't be playing, right? They just shouldn't. It'd be like in a perfect world, they say, you need 2 or 3 more weeks off, man. Matter of fact, you might even need surgery. But there's guys that are just saying, if your team is in the mix and the brass ring is in your reach and you're going for that Guy Lombardo trophy, you're going to play. You're going to rub a little, you're going to eat some dirt and rub a little Robitussin on it. But I could see the Kitties going into a tailspin starting on Sunday against the Bills. The Bills are really, really talented. And Josh Allen is playing at
MVP level.
MVP level. There is no question about that. So it should be a good game. I'm assuming we'll have that game here on the Fan because we don't have a Vikings game on Sunday. Vikings play Monday night, Sunday night, Tuesday night. Vikings.
Yeah, it looks like we got Washington, New Orleans at noon, and then Buffalo, Detroit at 3 o'clock.
Sweet. And then, of course, be here for the Boom on Monday night.
Green Bay, Seattle Sunday night.
Oh, okay. So it's a triple header for us. And then, of course, pregame at 5 Monday. Be here for the Kaboom at 7:20. I think 7:20 is the official kickoff. Vikings hosting the Chicago Bears.
Well, looks like the Green Bay, Seattle game will be joined in progress because we have a Wild game. The Wild taking on Vegas.
Yeah. Abbott was on me yesterday. I mean, in all seriousness, you should know about the Wild they played. And he wasn't listening close enough because I had told you I knew they played and I knew they won in a shootout. I just didn't know the particulars because I didn't have my phone. All he wants to do is come down on me. He said that I didn't know that the Wild had won. You shouldn't have to ask him. You should know that. I said, I did know it. I just didn't know the particulars. So in other words, he wasn't listening closely to what I was saying, which I don't think most people do. Listen close, see? We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll regroup. This is the Common Man program along with Tenna B right here on the Fan.
Don't miss out on the Power Trip Morning Show when they take over Treasure Island on February 6th and 7th. Be there for tons of games, laughs, and great prizes, including Vegas trips to watch the big game. Book your stay using promo code KFAN for both the 6th and the 7th to save 15%. To get the full details and book your stay today, head over to KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
was talking to Kara. When I walked in to say good morning, or actually good afternoon to her, she's in the old Score studio. She kind of looked startled. And I said, did I scare you? She goes, no, I was talking to myself. Then I asked her if she does that a lot. She says here at the radio station she does. I'm sure she's asking herself, why am I here? Why did I decide to do an internship here? And I told her I talk to myself all the time, especially on the golf course. I play golf a lot by myself. Tenemy doesn't like to play with me. I guess a lot of people don't, but I'll say like, God, that's such a good shot. Or what are you doing? How do you make that swing right now? That's such a terrible shot. It's a simple shot. I never use the word easy. So that's a simple shot. How can you not execute a 90-yard wedge to a pin in the middle of the green? How do you miss the green left? So I do talk to myself often. And, of course, I'm the only person that will listen to me generally. So why not? Do you talk to yourself, Tenemy? Are you one of those people that...
I do not.
You don't?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I do. I do quite often. Global English editing, you're probably familiar. I'm sure you've heard me bring up global English editing because I do it with a Lil B all the time. I come up with these psychology-type stories that try to get into your head to find out what makes you tick, where you've been, where you're going, and where you're at. I found one that I thought might be particularly pertinent to you. People who are incredibly picky when it comes to food usually display these 8 behaviors.
Oh, boy.
According to psychology. I knew you were going to say, oh, boy. I knew you were going to say that. If you've ever dined with someone who's incredibly selective about what they eat, you know it can be a unique experience. When did I first see you do that?
The first time you ever commented, so the first month of me being an interim producer, you and I went on a trip to Myrtle Beach. So I think we met at the airport and had like McDonald's at the airport before we went out there. So you were watching me eat and you noticed that I eat all of my fries first before I move on to my burger,
right,
or before I move on to my chicken nuggets, like that I don't mix and match. And
yeah.
You first 10 minutes of eating with me, you were that observant.
Yeah, I said, because for me, I've always been a person that I like to mix and match. So like if I'll take a bite of my, and I do like, I used to be I still enjoy Big Macs, but I'm more of a quarter pounder with cheese guy. I'll take a bite of the quarter pounder with cheese, a couple of fries. I don't do nuggets, but then I'll have a little sip of the soda, and I kind of go back and forth. Or if I'm eating, out at a fancy pants restaurant, I'll have a little bit of the entree, some of the potatoes and the vegetables, a bite of bread. I'll mix and match it all. But you're I
complete it.
You complete it, is what you do. And
by the way, that was the last vacation you and I ever took as part of a work trip.
And I remember what you told me, that you're a month into your job as interim and you're getting an all-expense-paid trip to go play golf, and you're thinking, this is the greatest job I've ever had. And now
this is awesome.
And now you look back on that.
Never once have gone anywhere ever since.
Yeah, and now you look back and think, what was I thinking?
Yes.
You must laugh at it. I thought this was the greatest job ever, and it's really been it's been your career hell. Is really what
I was either lazy, stupid, or both.
I think it was a little bit of both. And then, did I tell you this one, or did you tell me this one? Because somebody else does the old where they eat around their hamburger, they eat it like in a circle until the
middle's the best part.
So the middle's the best part, and they save that. Did you do that, or did I?
I will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Save the best for last.
Why wouldn't you? These food picky folks often have certain behaviors that can leave you baffled and even a bit annoyed. And I have to admit, there is a little bit of an annoyance with it.
My wife is in the same boat.
You might see them dissecting their meals, avoiding certain food groups altogether, or experiencing anxiety when faced with new food choices. They may love a dish one day and reject it outright the next. Being highly selective with food isn't just a quirky preference. For some, it's deeply ingrained in their psyche. It's deeply ingrained in your psyche, is it not? Deeply.
Sure.
But everyone expresses their pickiness in different ways, which can make dining experiences challenging. Let's dive into the psychology behind it. Number one, overanalyzing every ingredient. Do you overanalyze? It says, this is a common trait among those who are incredibly picky about their food. They might scrutinize every item on their plate, dissecting it to identify each ingredient. For example, if you serve them a salad, you wouldn't even eat a salad. No. But do you look at it like, for instance, I wonder what's in this thing.
See, I only eat food that I would want anyway.
Right.
So I don't, I'm not in there looking at every single ingredient. No.
Showing enthusiasm for limited food options. What does that even mean? It says, while they might turn their nose up at a wide variety of dishes, individuals who are incredibly picky about their food can show an intense passion for their limited selection of preferred meals.
Huh?
Like, for instance, when you go to Chili's, you're just so delighted that there on that menu right there is chicken crispers.
Yes.
And why would you try anything else? Because it's the best thing on their menu.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you even
I know I'm going to like it. Why risk it?
Anxiety at the thought of trying new foods.
Yes.
And my guess is, has your wife given up, or did she never try to encourage you to try?
Oh, no. Every person I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Yes. Every person's always tried to get me to eat stuff. I remember the first time at might have been Christmas, her mother served lasagna and then secretly put in spinach in there. She knew I wouldn't like the spinach, but she secretly put it in there hoping I would eat it and then I would change my mind on it. It's like, let's not try to change my mind. Just let me eat what I want to eat.
Did you try the lasagna? And you?
Well, I noticed it.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
She didn't try to say it's like oregano.
And then she got bitter that I wouldn't eat it.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Seeking comfort in routine. There's something special about the predictability of routine. For those who are incredibly picky about food, this sentiment holds even more truth. Having a set menu or eating the same meals on certain days can bring a sense of calm and reassurance.
I'm very routine.
Do you eat like lasagna without spinach on Tuesdays and only Tuesdays? Or
Not that, but my breakfast is basically kind of the same almost every single day.
And what is it?
I eat a banana every morning.
Every morning. And you know what? Let me guess, you unpeel it from the bottom.
I do.
Which
It's the right way to do it.
Well, it is. And
the way monkeys do it. They eat bananas a lot. I think they would know.
I hope you don't take this wrong. That's the only thing you've taught me that I actually use. Because I do that now. When I have a banana, and I think every time I eat a banana.
And you put your calendar on your phone now.
Well, I put it, there's two things. And you know what? Every time.
And you write names of the contacts in your phone now.
I do.
So you can actually have their names.
Yeah, instead of just memorizing their phones.
Yeah.
Now.
But I'm very routine. I eat a lot of the same stuff, yes.
I still do remember my wife's phone number, though. I can remember that. That's the only phone number I've
got about like 2 or 3 I can remember. Yeah.
Next, experiencing intense food dislikes. Intense. For those who are incredibly picky when it comes to foods, these dislikes aren't just passing distaste. They are intense aversions. They might find the taste, smell, or even texture of certain foods unbearable. Texture is important for you.
Yes, texture.
Did you say grapes are squishy or is it grape?
I've grown with the grapes now. I will eat the grapes.
Really?
I had grapes last night. It took me, I still don't love the texture of it, but I like the taste.
Red or green?
I'm a red guy.
You're a red guy.
Yeah.
Are there any?
Is that okay? That I'm in the red camp? Is that controversial too?
Well, a lot of people are in different camps. I'm one of those that I like red grapes and green grapes. And then preferring to eat alone.
I wouldn't say prefer to. I can. I have no problem eating alone.
I have another story about that. That is good because I'm the same way. I have another story. We're going to get to it in the next segment. We'll get back to some Vikings talk. Trust me, we're going to do some Sam Darnold peek at the purple stuff and some other things about what the Vikings could do, including a suggestion from a former member of the soon-to-be Big Game World Champion Minnesota Vikings front office. But what did I just say? Oh, eating alone. There's a story about the psychology of people because some people apparently feel self-conscious about eating alone. I don't in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Difficulty accepting food criticism. Do you have difficulty with that?
What do you mean by accepting food criticism?
They might react offensively or become upset when their food preferences are questioned or challenged. It's probably happening so often.
I get annoyed by it because it happens so much.
Yeah.
And again, like the same people will do it over and over too.
And their food choices are part of their identity. And in your case, it is. You eat bananas and you have them on your underpants.
I'm bland, yeah.
And you also have the bananas on your underpants as well. That's another old story from a long time ago. We'll break. We'll come back. Peek at the purple. And some Vikings chatter next here in the Fan.
Hey, Rubes, this football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. Just head over to KFAN.com, keyword contest to learn more, and enter today. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He is Tenneby. All sorts of different ways. Well, actually, not all sorts, like 4 different ways to contact us here at the Fan. Calling us, our phone number 1-800-320-5326. Don't bother. That line was disconnected several years ago for lack of payment. There's also the booth at KFAN.com. That's our email address. That's almost like snail mail nowadays. And then we have the KFAN Talkback. iHeartRadio app, search stations, find the Fan, click the microphone icon in the corner. And you have 30 seconds to deliver us an audio message. And then, of course, there's the ever-popular and almost overused Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line 64686. This one came in and says, I once saw Tena drink a Gatorade, and it was totally bizarre. He drank the ingredients separately. He did it in this order: water, sugar, dextrose, citric acid, natural flavor, salt, sodium citrate, monopotassium phosphate, gum, or Arabic, and sucrose acetate isobutrate. Is that the order you do?
I always love that one.
I do
the aerobic first.
You do, yeah, and then you go with it. Then you follow the rest of that list. I wanted to mention this real quick too, because I think this is important. Because Tenneby, this show supports women's athletics more than I think most. As a matter of fact, our iHeartRadio Sports Update is always the It always highlights achievements in women's sports. Did you notice that? The one that we played about 2:30 or so? And we requested that because that's what we like here on the Common Man program. And this one came into me, Common at KFAN.com. It says, Common, this came to me on Tuesday. Just got done listening to the Grum on my way back from Green Bay. I thought I'd like to share some news with the official, unofficial ambassador of Minnesota Golf. Kate Smith of Detroit Lakes just secured her LPGA Tour card.
Wow.
At the final stage of Q School in Mobile, Alabama. If you'd like more information, just let me know. And that's from PGA Life member Nick. And, you know, the Kate Smith, I'm not sure how old she is now, but I remember covering her on Tee to Green during her high school career. She won, I'm almost certain she won at least one girls' state high school championship, if not several. And so now she's got an LPGA Tour card. How cool is that? Just like Frankie Sapp in another Minnesota, from North Oaks, the place where you'd love to live. Craig Warren, master professional, co-host of the Tee to Green program for almost 30 years. That's Frankie Sapp is Craig's charge, and Frankie's got his PGA Tour card. So a lot of talented golfers coming out of the state of Minnesota that will be playing professionally. Time now for what we like to call the Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Affordable Electric, they pride themselves on being old home specialists. Invite Affordable to your home and let them conduct a whole home electrical safety inspection. They did it for me. They can do it for you, too. Reach out today. Schedule online. Affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric. Shockingly affordable. Kennedy, I don't think we've been talking about Sam Darnold enough here on this program, and I thought we might take some time to do that now. Sam Darnold, your NFC Offensive Player of the Week. His career trajectory has been well documented. We know where he came from, where he's been, where he's going, and where he is at. He's in a really great spot for the young man. Has the Vikings, are we 11-2 or 10-2? I don't even, I never know what week we're in. I think we're 11-2.
We're 11.
We're 11-2. He's put himself in line for a pretty big payday now. I don't think there's any question. Unless he totally went in the tank and threw a couple of picks, a pick six here and a pick six there. Old Sam Darnold has an arm. Unless he totally goes in the tank, he's going to get himself a real nice payday. But where is it going to be? The Vikings seem to be in this, and I guess it's one of those. You'll always like to say, Tenneby, it's a good problem to have. You have your what you hope is your franchise quarterback you drafted with the 10th pick overall last year, former Michigan standout, J.J. McCarthy, had the meniscus injury, out for the season. And while it didn't look like he was going to be the starter, the head coach did say if he hits certain benchmarks during, training camp and preseason games, we're not ruling out that he could be the week 1 starter. Knee injury, Darnold came in, and it's been pretty much smooth sailing for Sam. He's had a couple of hiccups, including that 2-game stretch where we lost 2 games in 5 days, and I think he threw 5 interceptions during that time frame, including 3 in a game in which he was trying to force it into JJ, and now doesn't seem he's doing that. But anyway,
and if you remember with McCarthy, after he played in that game, in which he played well in a preseason game, they had joint practices, I believe, with Cleveland coming up, and they were planning on playing him with some of the first teamers in that joint practice.
Exactly. That's how.
And then the injury news came down.
That's how high they were on him, and that's why I'm not suggesting that KOC and the coaching staff didn't see something in Darnold up until that point. But if they were planning on playing McCarthy there, I would, you could say, well, they wanted to play him there anyway, just to give him some experience with that. But I think it was also because maybe they still weren't sure what they had with Sam Darnold. They probably liked what they saw, but until you see him playing in real regular season games and doing the things that he's been doing, it's hard for me to believe that they thought, well, this is the guy. He's going to be spectacular, but it certainly has worked out that way for him. What to do with him? Alec Lewis of The Athletic wrote a piece today with all sorts of different options, including Darnold signs a multi-year contract elsewhere that the Vikings aren't willing to match. Use the franchise tag on Darnold, and he begins 2025 as the starter. Use the franchise tag on Darnold, wait until McCarthy's ready, and then trade Darnold. Sign Darnold to a multi-year contract, but then what do they do with McCarthy? These are all the different options that Alec Lewis spelled out, and he did a really good job with it today. Rick Spielman, former Vikings general manager, I think he's consulting with teams, and he does podcasts, and I don't know if he's doing TV work. He seems to be everywhere. He's highly regarded, despite the, I would think Rick's stay here was pretty good. I'm not going to suggest he was the best general manager, but I don't think he was as bad. Every time a guy is fired and let go, I think hometown fans in any market always think the guy was terrible, never did anything good. I think Spielman did some really good things, obviously did some things that weren't as good, and it was time. The Wilfs just felt it was time to move on, and maybe rightly so, because right now the team's on a pretty good trajectory with Kwesi and KOC rather than Spielman and Zimmer. But you have a soundbite here with Spielman. Maybe you could set it up for us, what it's all about. And
this is Spielman with Ryan Wilson. It's on the With the First Pick podcast. I believe it's a CBS podcast. So the First Pick podcast. So the first voice you're going to hear is the host of the show, Ryan Wilson. They're co-hosts. They're on it together. And the topic of what to do with Darnold is going to come up.
Potentially the Saints for Sam Darnold. Would you rather have Sam
or the
Darnold?
Vikings? I would. If I was Minnesota, why wouldn't you keep Sam Darnold?
What are you doing with JJ?
He's a rookie. He's going to start over from scratch. He didn't do anything this year. He's not practicing. He's sitting in meetings. He's rehabbing. He hasn't done one thing since that surgery except rehab, throw the ball on the side maybe, but he's not practicing. So you're starting from square one with him. Why not do a potential bridge deal like a Baker Mayfield, 3-year, $100 million deal? You don't know.
3 year,
maybe he is $100 million.
Oh, okay. That's more reasonable. I didn't hear the number. Okay.
Yeah, you don't listen. That's what if someone that gives them a 3-year, $100 million deal?
Yeah. One other follow up to that. So, if JJ sits next year, because as you point out, basically his rookie season, you're okay just going 2 years on his rookie deal to see what you have in JJ?
Yeah. Look at what Green Bay did with Jordan Love. Look what Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre. There is, if you count next year as rookie year, Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. So if I sit him for 2 years, why not?
I tend to agree with Spielman, especially on the let guys sit. I mean, if you'll remember, there was only one person that I'm aware of that was in Green Bay's front office corner when they drafted Jordan Love, rather than get some, let's take a flyer on some wide receiver and see if we can help Aaron. And I think most people now would say, Common, you were right. They needed to go in another direction because it looks like Jordan. I'm not saying that Jordan Love is destined for Cooperstown, but he looks like he's a pretty good player. You have to look toward the future as well. Mayfield signed a 3-year, $100 million deal $50 million of it was guaranteed from Tampa Bay. Last year, Derek Carr signed a 4-year, $150 million contract with the New Orleans Saints with $100 million guaranteed. Now, the catch here, though, is Darnold would have to agree to that, right? To say, yeah, I'll take a $3 million for one. Now, I'm not. Who would sneeze at 3 years? Let's say it's Mayfield like 3 years, $100 million, $50 million guaranteed. I don't think Darnold would necessarily sneeze at that and go, "Are you kidding me?" But maybe he would. Maybe he'd go, "Well, that's nice, and I'll take it under consideration. But if the phone rings, I'm going to answer it." Why? There are people that believe. I've seen on the message boards, comment sections, emails to me, text to booth@kfan.com about maybe old Sam will really feel, like he's indebted to the Vikings, and that maybe he'll just give him a hometown deal. We're already hearing that the Vikings might just let Darnold walk. Right? I mean, that's one of the possibilities. Yes. So
this is a chance for the big payday, too.
And couldn't you turn it around on the Vikings and say, the Vikings, for Sam playing as well as they did for him, they should just give him a great, big, huge, long-term contract for what he's done for us.
Yes.
It can go both ways there. If I'm Sam Darnold, he certainly might say, $100 million 3 years sounds great to me. I do like it here. I like what KOC's done for me.
I like that. I like that.
If you believe, it seems like I'm one of the few that still has a little bit of doubt that this is all Q-dub. Most people that when I read, and it's mostly the biggest reason for the success of Sam Darnold this year starts with KOC and then drops down from there. And that might be. I don't know. It certainly could. I don't know. I like to give the quarterback a little bit more credit. He sat and watched Purdy and Shanahan for a year. He was there and watched a team get to the big game. I'm sure he learned something there, right? And it doesn't hurt that he has the weapons that we've talked about here, too. So I'm willing to share the credit where credit is due, but when you read these things, it's like I was doing it sarcastically the other day about, well, just sign an underachieving quarterback every year, coach him up, and we'll have in 2025 we'll have the 2024 version of Sam Darnold, and in 2026 we'll have the 2025 version of whoever that quarterback is, and on and on and on. I'm not sure it's quite that simple. Maybe it is. Maybe KOC will go down as the greatest offensive mind and quarterback coacher upper in the history of pro football. I'm just not ready to say that quite yet. But Sam might just decide, $100 million 3 years, I mean, that's chump change, man. Yeah, I'm looking at, you know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at that 40 to 45, because what's the richest one now? Is that?
Well, it's darn near 60, isn't it?
It's darn near
Dak?
60, I think. So it's like, really? You think that's all I'm worth after what I've done for this club? Because if you take his body of work to this point, he's a $40 million. I mean, is it Spotrac? What is it called?
Yeah, Prescott's making 60 a year.
Is it Spotrac?
Spotrac.
Spotrac, I think I saw somewhere, maybe it was even in this piece with that that Alec Lewis wrote, or maybe it was in another one, but I could have swore I saw Spotrac has his value right now at, I think it's like $41 million or 42 or something like that. That if you look at his performance commensurate with what his pay should be, that's what he's worth. So why would Sam take a bridge deal? I mean, $100 million is a lot of money.
Not to sneeze at.
But you just go, well, wait a minute. No.
But
it's time for me to hit the mother load.
So that's 33 a year, right? You have guys like Derek Carr making 37.5. You've got guys like Deshaun Watson making 46. You've got guys like Tua Tagovailoa making 53. Trevor Lawrence is making 55. Darnold in contract negotiations could go, I perform better than all those guys.
Yes.
Right? Now, I don't think he's going to get up that high, but the assumption you can just go, if he keeps playing at this level, I don't know. I don't think 3 years, $100 million is going to do it.
I don't think so either. I don't either. Unless, like we say, he does feel that KOC has taught me so much. He calms me, whatever, all the different things that go on. It's tough playing that position at a high level. We know that. Everybody understands that. Tough. Notorious DIG, who used to be our a dopey intern guy, was the first to you and I, our jaws dropped when we heard it. There was dead air for, I think, 2.5 minutes when he said the most important position in all of sport is quarterback. We hadn't realized it at that point. Now we do. So, but you got to get while the getting's good, right? And so I don't know if that could be. The franchise tag thing is interesting, right? And it's spelled out here by Alec pretty well. The reason I never talked about it is because I don't understand this stuff, and I wait for somebody like Alec Lewis to write about it and explain it, then I got a better understanding of it. It's the beauty of it. Use the franchise tag as Darnold begins the season as a starter. This franchise, here's what Alec writes. The franchise tag is a tool teams have at their disposal to prevent a player from hitting the open market. Players and agents typically dislike the tag because it's a way for teams to keep players around in the short term, often for less money, while also guarding against injury and deteriorating performance. Spotrac, here it is, projects the quarterback franchise tag for 2025 to be around $41 million. Using the tag on Darnold could inject turbulence into what otherwise has been a near-perfect marriage. Darnold would then be confined to a one-year prove-it type of deal. The Vikings would likely explain the move by suggesting another year with O'Connell, Jefferson, Addison could even further strengthen Darnold's prospects. O'Connell suggested Wednesday that the longer Darnold is around, the better this offense will be. And he talks. I'm gonna pop some tag. Yeah, that's exactly right. And so, and we know that players do get annoyed about, in many cases, they're annoyed by the franchise tag. Because they're like, yeah, you're paying me top 5 at my position, but you're still, we're leaving money on the table that if I was a free agent, so I don't know.
Well, I will say in the Darnold dilemma, we've spent a lot of time focused on the Darnold, and really our answer probably is how they feel about J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, you're right.
And because we haven't seen him, it's hard from a fan standpoint and from a media standpoint to go all in on J.J. McCarthy because we saw him in, one preseason game. But if the organization who saw him in practice and in training camp and have seen him, I'm sure he's still in the film room right now and learning. If he is able to give you a Sam Darnold level performance, then to me it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Sam,
correct.
Thank you for everything you've done.
Yep.
Even the bridge deal of 3 years, $100 million, which I don't think he'll go that cheap. But even if he did, that's still $33 a year. That if let's say J.J. McCarthy a year from now is your quarterback, well, now you're still stuck that money in the next year 2, year 3 that we could be using to build around J.J. McCarthy while we have him on his rookie contract.
I think Alex says the Vikings, here's what it says, allocating around $41 million would limit the resources that could be spent elsewhere to improve the roster. But it should be noted the Vikings are projected to have upward of $76 million in cap space for 2025, according to Over the Cap. So then if you look at it that way, Tennessee, they already have 10 allocated to him now, right? So if they gave him 41, that would really only be 31, right? Because they already have 10. So let's say 31, that would still mean they would have $45 million to play with. That's still a lot of money into the cap, but it is a significant amount of money.
But that's also for the most part, the only way they're going to improve the team is through free agency because they have virtually nothing for draft picks next year. You got a first and 2/5? Maybe a compensatory pick, but they're not going to have a lot of cheap player options to come out of the draft.
And a lot of our defensive guys, are they on one-year deals? Is that right? Or like your
I have to go back. I think Bernard got the big deal. I think Van Ginkel was a 2-year 20, but he's also, those are also the type of guys where he's got 1 year left on his deal for $10 million, and you go, hey, you should pay me for what I just did.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Right, so you still got to give a contract.
And you want to keep those guys happy. You don't want to go, sorry, you signed a deal, too bad for you, because then all of a sudden there's disgruntlement in the locker room is everything.
But like their corners, I think, are all on 1 year deals.
So disgruntlement is what you want to avoid. So it's a, and that's why I brought up a couple of times over the last week or two, tend to be, and I'll close out this segment with it again as we get ready for 534, but people are calling KOC the quarterback whisperer, right? And he very well could be. But I also worry that you start believing the praise and the idolization and pedestalization too much. You start going, I am really good at this. Bring me anybody. And let's say McCarthy let's say they decide to pass on Darnold. He goes somewhere else and continues his upward trajectory and helps some team with a deep playoff run. and McCarthy's really taken his lumps. Like that first year is a disaster, or it's just okay.
Sure.
And you don't know where you're going with it. And all of a sudden, when you have those conversations in the coaching room that are off limits to media, where you go, we kind of missed it on this McCarthy guy. I just don't think he's got it. He doesn't get it. And I'm not saying that as he seems, by everything we've heard, I mean, he won a national championship. He won at every level he's played at, but it's always, you never do know. And the proof, as they like to say, is in the pudding. Do you like pudding, Teneby?
I love pudding. Oh, yeah.
Does it have to be, would you eat chocolate, vanilla? What's your favorite?
Sure, yeah. Chocolate's obviously.
How about,
or I like the mix.
How about tapioca?
Meh.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. We'll take a break. 534, what you got?
An old form of golf is back.